There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Maui Nui is on a mission to help balance axis deer populations for the good of our environment, communities, and food systems on the island of Maui. They've shared over 126,000 pounds of nutrient-dense protein with the Maui community. Secure your spot now. Become a snack subscriber and join in helping to build more resilient food and ecosystems on Maui. Visit MauiNuiVenison.com. That's MAUINUI venison.com and use promo code BEAR for 20% off your first order.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
My name is Clay Newcomb, and this is a production of the Bear Grease podcast called The Bear Grease Render, where we render down, dive deeper, and look behind the scenes of the actual Bear Grease podcast. Presented by FHF Gear, American-made, purpose-built hunting and fishing gear that's designed to be as rugged as the places we explore. Well, we've got an eclectic group of turkey hunters here from my hometown of Mena, Arkansas. And did anybody think it was funny when Cauy House, a storyteller on our last Turkey Stories podcast, said, Steve, my grandpa. Everybody knows Steve.
Well, they do now.
Yeah. Steve Phillips is here. Cauy House's grandpa.
Everybody knows Steve.
Everybody knows
They do
Steve.
now.
I'm glad to be here.
Everybody in the world. Steve Phillips is here. Cauy House to my left. Cauy, you
Nice
did a
to
good
be
job,
here.
man.
Thank you.
Didn't y'all think he did a good job?
It was an
yeah,
excellent
sure,
job.
You bet.
I
Taught him
think you're
everything he knows.
I think you're the youngest featured guest on the Bear Grease podcast, because you're a featured guest if you're on the actual Bear Grease so this is the render for people who maybe have not listened to Bear Grease before. Bear Grease podcast is a documentary style podcast where we do these kind of in-depth stories. The last one that we're going to talk about today was a stories podcast. We had 8 different storytellers, and Cauy was one of them. 19 years old, man.
Yes, sir.
You did good.
Well, thank you.
You did good.
That man's taught me just about everything right there.
Yep.
I guess I better give him credit for it.
Yeah. So to Cauй's left is longtime friend of mine, Joe Liles, who is now a retired Forest Service law enforcement agent.
That's correct.
The only reason you're here is because you're retired.
I am. I'm retired now and retired from the United States Forest Service as a full-time law enforcement officer.
We're going to come back to you.
Okay.
Let me introduce everybody.
Sounds
But
good.
Joe Liles, Steve Phillips, and then my dad, Gary Believer Newcomb. Good to have you, Dad.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Good to be here.
Dad's got a story on the next podcast. So we're doing 2 stories podcasts. To Dad's left is Andy Brown. Andy, always good to have you.
Good to be here.
Man, for real, Andy's a hero on the Bear Grease podcast. Everybody I talk to, I mean, people not from Arkansas, people from wherever. Steve Ranella, he's like, Andy Brown, man. From the Louis Dale Edwards stuff to all the stories. So it's always good to have Andy. But Joe, you're how long were you in law enforcement for the Forest Service?
With the Forest Service, I started in September of 2000.
Okay.
And I retired at the end of this year. So I had just a little bit over 22 years.
And you were a Arkansas Game and Fish game warden for a period of time?
I was for 3.5 years. And before that, I started under Sheriff Mike Oglesby in 1992. Reserve, part-time, worked a little bit with the city PD, and then went to the Arkansas Game and Fish, and from there I went to the U.S. Forest Service.
Mm.
But the other career before that, I was an aircraft mechanic for several years.
Okay.
But I always knew that I wanted to be in law enforcement, so that's where I went from there.
And a lifelong turkey hunter.
Since 1983. That's when I killed my first turkey in the very early 80s.
Yeah, yeah. Now, if I recall, on the Louis Dell and Charlie Edwards podcast, your name came up because you were involved. You didn't, I think I said that you were the one who gave the ticket to Louis Dell for not having a license, but I was wrong. You were
I
there.
was there at that time, yes. And very much I was right there by him. And Terry Lunsford was actually the one who
Terry
wrote the
Lunsford,
ticket. Yep.
who was, at the time you were Game and Fish. Is that right?
I was with the Arkansas Game and Fish at the time.
So tell that story real quick, or just kind of just a short version of what happened, because that's where your name came up on Bear Grease before, Joe Liles.
You know, we were over east of their camp, and we pulled up just talking to them. And then we got through talking a little bit and said, well, we've got to see your license. And, Louis Dell just, he came out and he didn't have it. And then he got to blaming Bertha. He said that Bertha didn't buy his license. So
Bertha does everything.
Yeah, that's what it was. He
Bertha is his wife.
Yeah, he got to blaming his wife, and so Terry ended up writing the ticket. But that's the story in itself.
Yeah.
It was just, it started off as a casual contact, and then Bertha got blamed for everything.
One of the few tickets that Louis Dell Edwards ever got. How many tickets have you given Steve Phillips?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be called out on a lot of stuff here.
Steve quickly said 0.
Yeah.
Well, Joe and I go way back.
Way back.
And it's kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So that's our, how we are. I met Joe one time during deer season. I was over in my side-by-side, and I had been over there deer hunting, coming back over from 2 Mile. I met Joe. Here he was. And he pulled over and he rolled his window down. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I've been hunting over here." And he said, "Is that gun loaded?" And I said, "Well, how you expect me to kill anything if it didn't?" End of story. I drove off.
You just don't ask anymore.
You just don't ask anymore.
You just don't ask anymore.
Joe, I met you one time in the field.
I
Do you remember that?
No, I remember you telling me that, but unless something really stands out.
I mean, you're doing it every day of your life.
You meet so many people that, unless even people that you've, written violation notices to, if something doesn't stand out, you just don't remember. You write so many of them, but go on with your story.
Well, it's not a great story. I was out. I don't want to say where it was in National Forest, and I'd been baiting bears, and it was in August probably. It was early in baiting bears, and y'all had a roadblock. Came around the corner, and there was just a big Forest Service roadblock, and 2 or 3 trucks and kind of a truck across the road. It felt like, and I pulled up, and you were the guy that checked me, and you just said, you recognized me. Then you're like, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm baiting bears," and you checked I think you checked my registration and stuff. It wasn't hunting season. I didn't have any guns, but anyway, yep.
I have a Joe story.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Here we go. Another one that I've known for years.
Well, one day he called me at the office, and he said, "Andy, I've got a picture I want to show you." And I said, "Okay, bring it to the office." So him and Jimmy Martin show up at our office. And he's got
Who's another game warden?
He's got an 8x10 picture. And he said, they come into my office, and he shows it to me, and he says, Who's that guy in that picture right there?" I said, and what we've got a guy walking in front, and we've got a guy carrying a gun behind him. And I said, "I have no idea." I said, "He ain't very big." And he said, "Look at him." And I said, "I really don't know." He said, "Look at his hand. He had a finger missing." But he said, "But that's not you." And I said, "No, that's not me." He said, "We know who it is."
Yeah, we know the story. Yeah.
But anyway, they brought that to my office to show
Really?
me that. Yeah, I've never kicked him around about that, but I can't hear on live podcast because they thought it might have been me.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So it was somebody trespassing.
There's not a
or
lot of
something?
people don't have one of those.
Yeah,
missing.
Andy's missing is
And I
right.
think it's actually in Oklahoma.
ring finger.
Wasn't it, Joe?
No.
Was it not?
No. Let's move
Wow.
on to the next one. How about that? We'll talk about that one here in a little bit.
But anyway, that's my Joe story.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Well, I went on the reason I'm dressed the way I am, I went on a 9-mile mule ride today in the National Forest and didn't see a lick of turkey sign. Found a shed horn. But I'm hoping we'll have a good, a decent turkey season for Arkansas. They say we've lost 60% of our birds from our peak, which probably would have been in the 90s, early 2000s maybe, but maybe more than that in some places.
I think probably these guys could all attest to the fact, talking about looking for turkey sign. Guys, I can remember whenever leaf in the woods was turned over back in the 80s, and even up into the 90s. But, I mean, the woods, turkeys made a lot of sign. And, you didn't have to hear turkeys to go turkey hunting. You just went and found the sign. That's what I looked for, was just scratching.
I believe, like you said, it looked like a garden tiller.
It looked like you took a tiller and just went in there and just roll the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And one time I was with my Uncle Ari. It's actually during muzzleloading season. Anyway, we was in there north of in the in-laws. We was in there at what we call Shore's place. And Uncle Ari got in the first low notch. And I went on up top of the mountain and walked east out the top of the mountain. And I can remember getting out on the east end of that thing. It's real briary on top. But I got over on the north side. When I walked over the north side, I'm telling you, as far as you could see, there was turkeys eating devil horses. The devil horses, the ground was just working alive with them.
Now, what's a walking stick?
Walking stick.
Yes,
Walking
yeah,
stick.
devil horse.
Yeah.
Devil horse. Okay.
Anyway, they would just walk up and just pick those things off them bushes on them low. But the whole mountain, I have no doubt there was 100 turkeys right there that I was looking at. I mean, for 150 yards, it wasn't nothing but solid turkeys from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain. Unbelievable.
What year was that?
That would have been about 80, 81, somewhere in there. I think you and Mitch went in there one time with, didn't you take Bill Norman in there?
Bill Norman.
Yeah.
Bill Norman Lures.
Yeah.
And because Mitch and I were in there, that would have been 1990.
1990.
March of 1990. I think we heard 18 gobblers.
Ain't that crazy?
That's still to this day the most I've ever heard in one day. I won't say it's 18.
Mitch still talks about that.
They were everywhere.
Yeah.
And, from years of patrolling, they're not there.
Oh.
I would go months and not see one. They are not here.
Yeah.
They're just not here.
When they
out
say
a lot.
60% have disappeared, I think that is
Light.
I mean, as many as we had, and you lose 60%,
You still got
40 would still be really good hunting, I would say.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's
I
a
think there's
statewide.
90%
That's a
of them gone.
statewide figure. Which
Yeah.
different places would be different. There's still counties in the Central Ozarks that have pretty decent turkey hunting. I mean, you can go up there and those guys, they hear us talking and they're kind of like, "What's the big deal?" But here, yeah, you're right. It's probably way more than that.
Yeah.
But it really is. A lot of people have heard me talk about my grandfather, Gary's dad, Lewin, who was a bird hunter, quail hunter.
Mhm.
And, the last 25 years of his life, all I heard him do was lament that we didn't have quail anymore. And it really is a bummer because turkey hunting really kind of builds a culture in an area, especially if it's good turkey hunting. I mean, everybody's a turkey hunter and their kids are turkey hunters, and it's fun to go. And boy, when they're not here, people aren't turkey hunters. I mean, people just kind of. I mean, I'm talking about myself. It's like it's hard to get up it's hard to get fired up to go when they're just not there.
Right.
And and like my kids have not had the exposure to turkey hunting that I had because we just didn't have turkeys, you know. But anyway, that's not. It's a bummer to have to talk about that here, but it's kind of the reality of where we're at. But we're going to talk about the good side of turkey hunting, which is it's a lot of fun. Steve, Dad was telling me that you told him about a story. So you listened? Did you listen to the podcast?
I listened to the podcast. It was awesome. Yeah.
Which story was your favorite?
What I told Gary, what related to me. I don't know that there were several of them that was my favorite, but the one about where the guy flicked the cigarette in his pocket and caught him on fire, and burned him. You know, I don't smoke, so that didn't happen. But I can tell you, Andy Brown and I, we decided to go hunting. We'd heard some turkeys a couple of days before, so we got up bright and early, and we went in and parked, and we had to pull up this. I'm telling you, it takes you 45 minutes to get up it. I mean, it's straight up. So we got there double early that morning, and we got out and had our little flashlight and little hat lights on. And I always, if I had $1 for every mile that I followed him in the woods over the years, you know, I'd be a rich man. And so we start up that hill, and we're both in really good shape, and we're going up that thing, and it'll get you breath. And then all of a sudden, Andy, he gets up there, and he takes a step, and he slides back about 2 steps. And I said, what in the world happened? And he said, what was that? He turned his hat light on. We didn't have our hat light on at the time. We were just kind of going by the moon. He turned that light on and looked, and there was the biggest pile of bear scat that was smoking. It was fresh. I mean, he stepped in it and slid back down the mountain nearly. And so he said, he's right here somewhere. Anyway, we're both boogered up, you know, going up this thing looking.
We didn't check it to see if it was to see if it was warm.
So
It looked warm.
we get up to there, and we get set in, and we set up, and we give a call. Old Turkey answers us down there in the bottom. I said, boy, we're in the chips right here. So we put in on them, and they were gobbling their heads off, just gobbling and gobbling. Well, they came, and as they came to us, instead of coming up that leg to us, they turned and they went around us to our left. And him and I are sitting side by side, and we have to just watch those turkeys. There's 2 big gobblers. They just go by us, right up over the top and off down, and they go. Well, we let them get out of there, and we walk right up on top, and we give it a little bit, and we call, and they gobble off down in the bottom. And I told Andy, I said, come on, let's go. He said, Steve, we can't, them turkeys are way down there. Well, he'll tell you, used to, when I first started turkey hunting, if I could hear one, there wasn't a turkey too far to go to. If he was 2 miles, I was going to him. And I said, well, I'm going to him. He said, I'm going to stay up here on top. I'm not going to go to him. So I headed off down the mountain. It took me about...
The teacher lets the young grasshopper go out on his own.
Yeah. So off down through there I go, and I get down. Finally, I catch up to that turkey. Both of them. I catch up to them, and I set up on them, and I call them, and when I do, they just cut me off. And what I didn't realize is when I had sat down in a big old ant pile, and those big black ants. And here I'm looking about 65, 70 yards down there, and here comes these 2 turkeys in full strut coming, gobbling. I've got my gun up on my knee. I'm sitting in an ant pile. All of a sudden, I start feeling ants in my pants. I feel ants coming up my shirt. Ants are coming out through my top of my shirt and my head net. They're running all over my head and my face, and I'm locked in on that turkey. When he gets up there close enough that I think I can kill him, I shoot him, and I do kill him. But he goes to flop, and I drop down and strip all of my clothes off because I'm trying to get rid of the ants. And to this day, that's probably the biggest turkey. He had 11.5-inch beard and weighed 22 pounds. I walk
You're
up.
not lying, are you?
I'm not lying.
What Cauy said?
Right. Andy tell you, that was the biggest turkey. And the other one flew right in there towards Andy, which he didn't get on him, you know. Mm-hmm. But I had that turkey on my shoulder, and I'm coming up through there, and he owls me up there, and I look, and he said, "Did you get him?" I said, "No." He said, "You're lying. You did too." So, yeah. But that was my biggest turkey.
You had to strip down right there on the side of the mountain.
I had to. Yeah.
Cauy, have you heard that story before?
I've heard. I think we've almost covered every single turkey that he's killed.
Why don't you tell me the second story that you told me? about taking your little brother.
Taking my little
Will you
brother
tell me
hunting.
that story?
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah. So my little brother Ryder, he's on my dad's side. He wanted to go. It was youth opening morning of the youth season. He wanted to go turkey hunting, and we have this private spot that we had picked out, and we had went and roosted one the evening before, gobbled his head off. I said, "This will be chip shot. He's up here on this ridge. We'll get up here, and we'll kill this turkey." Well, long story short, we got up there, and I set him up. Turkey gobbled good. We got up there just right on the break of that ridge. He was just on the other side. And
Now, how old's your little brother?
at the time, he would have been, I'm wanting to say 11. 11 at the time, 11 or 12. He's 14 now. So it would have been 2 or 3 years ago. And the turkey gobbled. He gobbled. I didn't call him. I said, just get ready. He's going to fly down. He's probably going to land about right here on top of this ridge. I said, just get ready. About that time, the turkey just quit gobbling. He wouldn't gobble. Wouldn't say a peep. Wouldn't say a word. Well, I mean, nothing. We sat there for another hour. Nothing. I seen him actually fly down and pitch off into the field. But once that happened, he left. He had some hens with him. So I said, let's go up to another spot. This spot, national forest around it. There's a private. I have permission to hunt, but national forest wraps around it. And me and him been hunting it for 2 years. For some reason, that was a hot spot. And there, how many did we hear? 8, 9, 10, and just a little 100 yards.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, it was
Yeah, a little pocket.
it
of
was
birds.
awesome. So anyway, so we went in there and drove back into national forest, and I said, by that time it's 10:30, and I said, Ryder, I said, if we get one to gobble, I said, we got him, son. I said, by this time the hens have done left him. I said, we've got him. I get out of the truck and I grab the old slate call and I just he just cuts me off right there. And I said, let's go. I get excited. I mean, he can tell you, Paul can tell you. There's just something. If I ever lose the excitement, I better quit hunting because it's just something that eats me up. So we could drive on down and we get out of the truck and we walk down the road. We get in there and I called nothing. I said, we're going to dig in. We're just going to dig in. We didn't have nothing else to do that day. I said, we're going to wait him out. So we dug in. We sat there for, it felt like a half a century. And we're just kind of talking back and forth, kind of goofing around, and all of a sudden that turkey gobbles. We're sitting just off on a little break. There's a little road. It kind of goes like this. It kind of makes humps like that. Just off the break, that turkey gobbles. When you're least expecting it like that, it about scares the peewad out of you. So I said, get my lap. So he gets in my
That's a
lap.
new word to me, peewad.
Peewad. Well, there you
I have
go.
to look that up.
So he gets in my lap, and I just turn my head, and I just real soft, and he just cuts me off right there.
Let me hear you gobble again. He's got a good gobble.
And I
doesn't he?
said, get ready. I said, he's going to come right down your gun barrel. And I said, when I say shoot, you shoot him. Well, that turkey come and hit that sucker put on a show. He out there, he danced around, he drummed, he spit, and he gobbled right at us. And then he drummed, and he crossed underneath a dead log and come up. And I told Ryder, as soon as he passes this tree, I said, shoot him. Well, little did I know, I guess I was shaking a lot more than he was, and he was in my lap, so I was doing the whole number of shaking.
You were shaking him.
Oh, I was shaking him, I guess something terrible. And he shot that bird, and I knew he shot him low because that bird flopped, and then he started to kind of get up. And I threw him out of my lap, and I took off running. And about that time, I got almost to the turkey. That turkey got underneath himself. He got his feet underneath him, and off with the races we went. And I took off running, and he's yelling, do you want me to bring you the gun? And I said, not yet. And I was running down the mountain as fast as I could. That turkey's doing this, and I'm doing this with him. Well, I leap, and I grab a hold of his tail feathers, and I pull all of them out. He didn't have a single tail fan. I grabbed a hold of the turkey, of course, and I stepped on him and held him up, and he come running down the mountain. He said, I was trying to catch up to you. I was trying to bring you the gun. I said, don't worry, bud. I said, we got him. But I said, you ain't going to have no tail feather. You ain't going to have no fan to fan
Make a
out.
great picture
But I
with
said,
no
you
tail
got a
feather.
beard. But that was his first turkey, and that was that was a great moment to be able to share with him. So.
That's great, man.
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. I've had a Helix Sleep mattress for over 2 years, and it is for sure the nicest mattress that I've ever slept on. I've slept much better in the last 2 years, been more comfortable than I have for my whole life. And that's true. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection, the newly released Helix Elite Collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress is shipped straight to your door free of charge. Helix has several different mattress models to choose from, each designed for specific sleep positions and feel preferences. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/clay and use the code HelixPartner20. This is their best offer yet and won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping. And we're about there, and we are there in the South. The Onyx Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a gobbling turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the Onyx Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. Onyx has a special offer for you. Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onyxmaps.com/hunt this spring.
Dad, which story on that series stood out to you?
They were all excellent. I mean, every stinking one of them. But I got to thinking, the tie goes to the runner, but this isn't baseball, is it? Softball.
Whatever you want.
So I said the tie goes to the kid, man. I liked Cauy's story.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the fire on, I mean, all of them were just unbelievable stories. So I just go with Cauy's because he's such a baby. Look at him, just a little old bitty guy. Played football, damn it. Played college football. Look at him.
Yeah, you liked Hank Burdine's story too.
Oh, I did. I love those Mississippi guys, and old Roy. I love the way he talks.
Oh yeah, man.
He'd go. I can't even repeat how he talks, but it was just it just made the story. Mm-hmm. You know, he had this turkey dead. I mean, what would he say instead of taking it to the taxidermy?
Yeah. Fixed.
Had that turkey fixed.
Hey, Roy Clark. Roy Clark is. Well, we just did a big film about him that came up this week on the Meat Eater YouTube channel, a film that he was kind of the star of. he really is a relic, and that's a great descriptor of what he is, a relic of Appalachian culture, and he has the strongest, best accent for that East Tennessee that I've ever heard. I love that guy, and y'all wouldn't know much about him. I said it on the podcast, but he's as good a bear hunter. I mean, those guys have killed. I mean, Roy Clark, I don't even want to say how many bears I believe he's killed. I mean, it'd blow your mind legally. I mean, but he's a bear hunter. But he doesn't even talk about turkey hunting. But I was at his house one day. I said, he had turkey beards and stuff around. I knew he's a turkey hunter. I was like, how'd you do last year? I mean, this is when he's in his 70s. And he said, I killed 5 last year. He killed 3 in Tennessee and 2 from his house, you can see North Carolina. So the North Carolina border is just like a mile from his house. You kind of see off down the mountains. But yeah, I like just hearing him talk. It's funny.
Yeah.
And like I said in that podcast, when you're talking about stories, people kind of expose different parts of their life. Like Cauy did when he said that his grandparents let him drive to the place when he was 14. I like that. And then Roy Clark said, yeah, them old boys come up through there and they was a drinking. And I knowed one of them could tell the truth. And
one of them could tell the truth.
Yeah, I knew one of them was pretty truthful. I think's what he said.
Yeah.
And it's just funny the details that some people would put in there. But then that was a heck of a hunt. They hunted that white turkey for 2 weeks on public land.
Did you see that turkey when you were at his house?
Oh yeah, it's beautiful. It really is a beautiful turkey.
Yeah.
I put a picture of it on my Instagram. Yeah, it was a beautiful turkey. But yeah, Roy Clark, he's just fun to hear talk. And then Hank Burdine, the guy from Mississippi.
Is he the guy that he
shot
told
the
about
gobble? He shot the gobble.
Yeah,
out.
that's crazy.
He said he left his window down. You heard me comment on it. He said he left his window down so that his wife would snuggle up next to him, and so he could hear those turkeys gobble in the morning, so he'd get out of bed. No, Hank is he's I wasn't joking when I said that he is like an ambassador for Mississippi. He's a big writer. He's written several books all about the South, and those guys. So he's from a suburb of Greenville, Mississippi. Okay, in Greenville, Mississippi, it's on the Mississippi River, is where he said at some point in the last 100 years, there were more writers per capita in Greenville, Mississippi than anywhere in the country. There were a lot of Southern writers that came out of Mississippi, and it's kind of unique being around because Hank's a writer. Robert Hitnell Jr., the guy that told about the flaming turkey, he's written 15 books. They just think different than a lot of the guys I've been around. It was interesting, and he had all these writing buddies lined up. A couple of them couldn't come, but they have choreographed stories that they tell. Like Robert Hitnell Jr., he's 81, and I mean, he's told that story his whole life. But I mean, they just kind of have the way they tell that story, and Hank tells stories like that too. But no, I like those stories.
That bird, I'm thinking he said that bird can't, he shoots the bird, somebody shoots the bird, they miss. The bird comes back the next week and he's doing this, shaking his head like he's gobbling, but he's not gobbling. He's going, man, the last time I gobbled, I mean, everybody's shooting at me. So he wanted to gobble, he's shaking his old head. Yeah. Oh, man, what a story.
Old Hank.
Almost as good as Cauys.
Mm-hmm.
And this is old Grandpa right here.
Hey, and I started did you notice I started the podcast with Andy's story?
Yeah.
I did that on purpose, man. I got to get him hooked to get him coming in, man.
Well, see, hey, one thing Steve don't even remember, he's getting old enough to where his brain's getting a little soft. But the first time he ever turkey hunted, I took him.
Okay.
And then within 2 weeks,
yeah, it's about time we settled
I'm telling you, within 2 weeks, he was a better turkey hunter than I was.
Now, Steve, is that the way you remember it?
I don't remember that.
He don't
My
remember.
brain is not that old.
We would scout deer together, and when turkey season rolled around, I said, "Hey, man, let's go." He didn't know anything about it. So I took him. Of course, I taught him a lot more than Andy did. But so anyway, he don't even remember it. But Clay Baby was the same way. I mean, here this stupid little kid running around school. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what a turkey looks like. Well, I take him out and get some gobbling, and I take him to my little private area, and I swear within 2 weeks, you think I'm kidding? Within 2 weeks, he can call better than me. He's already killing birds on his own. Steve was the same way, man. I mean, I'm kind of like a Ned in the first reader, I think they used to say. But they learned real quick.
So
when
Steve,
you got
do
a
you
lot
remember
of birds,
going hunting with him? Do you
no,
remember going?
I don't. We went deer scouting.
Deer scouting.
I can't remember.
The
I
only
can't
thing
remember us
about
actually.
your turkey hunting is that little old goofy-looking gun you had.
Yeah.
That you had that tennis ball or something on
Yeah,
the butt of that thing.
Yeah.
What was that, Clay? Did you ever
It's a
shoot
Nerf
that?
football. Yeah, he's got a little short, 20-something inch barrel gun.
It can't
shoots
be legal.
3.5-inch
Joe,
Magnum.
is that legal? The
I don't know
barrel's too
nothing
short.
anymore.
The barrel's short.
He had a Nerf football taped and camo tape to the back of it. So the butt of it's about 4 or 5 inches further than. So you got to put it way out here and then bring it into your shoulder. But I don't shoot it. I shot it one time and about broke my finger.
I think it'll kick you really bad.
Oh man, it's a hoot to shoot, man.
What is it? H&R
I've
single shot?
I've told your guys this story before, but I went to Little Rock to buy a gun. I don't know why Little Rock, but that's where I was headed. And I walked into First Bucks and Ducks right around Benton. And I walked in and I wanted a 500 Mossberg or a 870. And the guy said, yeah. He said, I got a turkey gun right here. And he pulled that it's like a New England Arms camo, pretty little old gun. Plastic stock, forearm, pick it up. I mean, it weighs nothing. And you can shove a 3.5-inch Magnum in that sucker. And so I said, hey, that's the gun I want. He said, the guy, it's used. The guy took it, shot it one time, brought it back. Said, man, you can't shoot that gun. I said, that's what I want. That's the gun I want. So I bought it, brought it home. We pulled up right out here. Clay come running out of the house. Did you get a gun? I said, yeah. And Judy and I had to go to a chamber banquet or something, and he said, can I go shoot that, Daddy? And I said, yeah, take it. Well, I came home, and his whole face, was shot off. It hit him in the face, lip, almost killed him. And
true story. I don't like shooting it.
More people, I used to take it out with guys just for the entertainment.
Well, he
And
showed
go,
me
"Would you
that
sh-
gun,
you-
and that's something a city slicker would do.
Shoot
And
this gun.
I thought he has lost his mind with that little old gun.
Zach Newcomb, I remember when he shot it, the thing almost came over his head.
Yeah.
But you put it over your shoulder. You don't know you have it. You only shoot a couple times a year.
You'd only want to shoot it a couple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Pop gun.
When I got that gun sighted in, I had to have it worked. I took it to Little Rock, had a gunsmith do a lot of work on it, and he got it where it shot real good and put a red dot scope on it. And to get it sighted in, it took, I had to shoot 15, 20 times. And that finger right there, I thought I was going to have to amputate it. That gun
Put it
had
in
come
the
back.
trigger, yeah, and so he put moleskin all on the trigger
Yeah,
guard.
well, I put a jersey glove on and taped a cigarette butt right there on that. So, bam! I just got a charge out of shooting it.
Yeah.
But I finally got it sighted in, and
It's a good turkey gun.
Yeah, you still have it now?
Oh yeah,
He
I
showed
got
it to me
right
last
in the
week.
house.
Yeah.
In there.
Joe, did any of those stories stand out to you?
Definitely the one where the boy killed his first turkey.
There at the end,
Yes.
Darwin
was,
Gibbons.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the one. And because I can really relate to that, like we talked about before. That was probably my most memorable hunt. My youngest daughter would have been Emily, would have been 13 years old. And that would have been 2017. We went to Kansas, and you watch the weather up there, because what it's doing there is going to be so much different than here. So we strike out. We're going to Kansas, and the weather's bad going up there, but we knew that it was going to clear off that afternoon, but it was going to come later. And So we meet, my buddy up there, and where we go, he's at the bowling alley. So he's bowling, his bowling league, and he said, man, y'all know where to go. Just go on out there. So we've got a couple of farms right there we can hunt. So here we go. Is in an alfalfa field, and this one place we hunted, it's a big trash pile. I guess everybody around there on that piece of private just dumps their trash right there. But we thought, well, okay, we're going to set up right here. And this is the afternoon. So we get to sitting and just calling and nothing. But we know there's turkeys there because there's, at that time, and even Kansas numbers are even lower from where we hunt. Because where we hunt now, there's only one bird limit, but you could kill 2 there at the time. So we set up, and kind of like Cauy says, we get dug in. We set in behind some cedar trees and cut a few limbs off and get our decoys out there, call for a couple hours, nothing, just nothing. So we thought, well, it's getting late, so let's go on in. We'll get us something to eat. We'll come back in the morning. We wake up that morning, weather's awful. It's just what you thought it was not going to be. It's awful. So we're kind of depressed, but we thought, we know where we're going to go, so we just went on out there anyway. But where we went, and the ground was horribly hard. So that night we went to Walmart and bought some boat seats. Weird colors, all they had then. I think I still have one of them, black and white. But that's what we went out there and sat on. So we're sitting there, and it's getting daylight then. We ain't heard anything. And I'd be dang if a turkey didn't gobble right above us. I mean, once it got light enough, you could see that turkey. And if we'd have just sat there that evening, he came in there looking for that hen that evening. So we were sitting there, and it finally got light enough, and he's just gobbling every breath. I thought, she's going to get this turkey. So about that time, he hops off, pitches off right out in front of us. And she could never get on that turkey. Never could. And she finally shot at that turkey, misses it, shoots some limbs off. And I'm like, golly, that was close. And so we were kind of depressed, and the weather's getting bad. It's still bad, blowing rain. And I called my buddy. He was with the sheriff's office up there. And he said, man, I know there's turkeys there. And we were talking about going to a couple of different places. Got off the phone with him. Dang if the turkey didn't gobble. And we were kind of out in the open field then. So we eased a little bit closer to, there's a drainage up there. They've got drains and stuff. It's just a lot different country. So about that time, 2 of them got to gobbling. And so, here we go. So we backed off again, just right against this little creek drainage, and got to calling a little bit. Boy, here they come. So I set her down in front of me, and these turkeys come right in there close. And at this time, like I say, she's young. And I had her shooting my little Benelli M2, that little 12 gauge. It didn't kick a lot, and so she got in there and she got right in my lap, and these turkeys came right down 30 yards of us. I said, you shoot that first one you can. So she shoots that thing, and it just folds up, and I'm like, holy cow, she got it. And then that other one ran off, and dang it didn't start just looking at that one. So I started making some fighting purrs. And it came right back, and she killed that turkey too. So we went from just a low moment till she killed 2 of them.
Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah, and that was 2017. We've been back every year since, and except for the year COVID. And she's killed turkeys one more time. Then we've left some years up there we didn't kill anything. But that's my turkey hunter, and she still goes with me, and she's going to go this year. She
is going back to Kansas.
Oh yeah, I'll go to Kansas.
Go to Kansas about every year.
Since, my turkey hunt buddy, Greg Burns, which y'all know him well, one of the best turkey hunters that I know, and, I don't think Greg's going to go with me this year, but, we're going to go back. And we talked about going to Oklahoma. We've got a couple of spots in Oklahoma we go, and you'll see I've hunted in South Dakota, Nebraska, and South Dakota's beautiful too,
Yeah.
Clay and I went to Mississippi with Greg and the pharmacy up there, Terry.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun in Mississippi.
One of the best turkey hunters I know.
Yeah,
And
he's really good.
Extremely knowledgeable man. You can ask him anything, and he knows a little bit about everything.
Yeah,
and truly does. Not like when Cauy says, "Is that the truth?" No, that's the truth. Greg knows a little bit about everything. Yeah, he knows a little bit about everything.
The Garvin Gibbons story at the end of that podcast, I had to include. I mean, that guy, he's killed 23 elk with a bow before his accident. You know,
Out of all
And,
those, that was what I enjoyed his
Mhm.
just because of that. To think he killed 23 elk in 24 years. In fact, I think maybe, and I don't know this for sure, but he had a brother, I think, that worked with the same company I did. And he had told me the story about his brother getting hurt in a tree stand accident.
Really?
We'd had that conversation. But I think the thing that intrigued me about it the most was the fact when he talked about how he's had to learn to get to a blind and have patience.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been killing more turkeys that way than he ever was running and
By
gunning.
being patient.
Well, and the thing of it is, and I don't think you would disagree with this, is there was a time with turkey that you could run and gun. But I think the patience deal now is just like it was back when I started hunting. I had an uncle that would go get in a blind. He didn't go anywhere. He sat in the blind and called every 25 minutes. And his theory was, if they answer me, they'll be over here after a while. And he killed lots of turkeys that way. And I think it's trended back that way. You know, turkeys, they know the pattern on every call that's out there. I mean, people, you know, you got to do something different. I mean, of course, like with me, I don't turkey hunt that much anymore. But I just know I have killed a turkey the last 2 out of 3 years, but it was because it's too windy to go fishing. But anyway, that's the reason I went. But the trend, I think, is to call little and have patience. I think in his story was that he learned that way.
Yeah.
And I think that was really neat.
That's a good observation to think that we're kind of getting back into that with the lower turkey numbers.
Sure.
You can't just pop along the ridge until you find one that's hot. Might have to sit on them for a while.
You know, sometimes you think how many. You look back, like after even I listened to him tell that story and everything, and I look back and I think, well, how many turkeys could I have actually killed if I just would have just sat there and been patient? You know, one might start gobbling way over here, and you take off after him. But I mean, just think if I'd have just sat there, you know. So I really that story kind of hit home with me too, and it also, you know. With his deal is you never know when your last
Dang right.
hunt can be. You never know what can happen. Anything can happen. I mean, you can be out there and it just like that. I mean, it can be over with.
You know, just like her and I. If we'd have sat there that afternoon, that turkey came in there that afternoon, and he roosted right there. And I want to add to that, I went back 2 weeks later and killed that turkey. And after she killed those, when the regular season came in, I came back and killed that turkey.
You know,
I was hunting with Greg at that time.
I didn't have the patience to do that, and I knew, I really knew better, but I'm just not geared to be a good deer hunter or turkey hunter. But I know one day an area that was just like you said, Andy, tilled up the whole side of a mountain, and wasn't a big mountain, but it was still on a mountain. And I called, and I couldn't believe I couldn't get anything to gobble, man. Nothing was gobbling, and so I piddle around there till about 9 o'clock or so, and finally I just thought, well, I'm going to call and just be patient, and I'm just going to sit here, but I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to take a nap, and so I stretched out on the side of a hill, man. I went to sleep, man. I was sound asleep.
After you called a bunch.
Yeah, I called a bunch and went to sleep, and boy, I hear footsteps all around me, man, and I open one eye, and there's two big old gobblers right there. I mean, they're not from here to that red chest. They're looking at me like going, what's a big old acre in there now? So anyway, I tried, I had my gun, but, I was ready to shoot, but I couldn't get on them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But patience is really gold.
Yeah, I bet all of us would have killed, especially with lower numbers, more turkeys if you just if you sat there for 2 or 3 hours. Now I'm not going to spoil Andy's story. You're on the next one too, Andy, telling about a turkey that did something unique. Mo's story about that turkey flying across the valley. Have you ever had one do that, Steve? Fly in real far that you could see come in?
Oh, come in to you?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was Mo. So Mo Shepard. One of Mo's stories was he was calling in the evening and had a bird fly across a big canyon and roost, and he came back in the next morning and killed it. Now, have you had Now you tell a story about a flying turkey. Don't tell that one because they're going to hear that later. But have you ever seen one fly to you across a big valley?
I went one morning, and I don't remember if I told you this story or not, but anyway, I had went by myself one morning, which I've never liked to hunt by myself. I always like it's fun to share, you know. But anyway, I went in one morning, pulled top of the mountain, and it come a huge rain the night before, and man, them old watered hollers it just sounded like Niagara Falls. And but when I got right in on top of the mountain, I was up there double early. And just about the time I got up there, right out across a watered holler north of me over there on the top of a little knob, one put in. And all the gobbling he done over there. And there wasn't no going to him because the backside of the mountain I'm on, it's just straight off right into a watered holler. You're going to have to cross the holler. And it was just a disaster. And I thought, you know what? I don't like to call a turkey on the roost, but I'm going to let him know I'm here. Now, this is early. I'm talking early, okay? And so I stood there, and he gobbled 4 or 5 times, and he was gobbling away from me. And finally, I just called real loud to him. And when I did, you could tell he turned on the limb, and he started gobbling right at me. And I thought, you know that rascal? He's a long ways over there. I said, that dude might pitch out and come over here. So I just backed up there against a big pine tree. There's a little old saddle in the mountain there, and I kind of got my gun up on my knee. And it's not even close, I didn't think, to fly down. And all of a sudden, I just heard a just right out there. I said,
just like someone dropped one out of a helicopter.
I said, dadgum, that sounded like that dude just lit right out there. And he was kind of I had my gun this way, and it was kind of my left. And about the time, the best I could describe it, I just seen the white cap, on his head. He just come right up over the top of the mountain there. And I said, dang, that's that dang turkey. It is early. And so it's just wide open. There ain't nothing between me and him but huckleberry bushes down through there, And there's a little old tree about, 3 or 4 inches in diameter down there. And when he walked in behind that tree, I moved my gun. Well, I did, how they'll do. He'd give me one of these back, he stepped in and, he stepped out, looked like that. And about that time he did. He just blew out of there like a quail.
Really?
He made a bad mistake, though. I unwound him. I hit him with the whole. Well, no, let me back up. When he did that, I just shot that tree nearly half in two down there. I never put a pellet in him. He just boiled up what he did. I hit him with a whole load when he went out there. But he was, and I know there was people in that country when, that old boy shot that off the roost, but I didn't. I shot him on the ground. But he was a big one.
Wow.
But he flew. I'm sure he flew a quarter to me across the holler right there.
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping. And we're about there. And we are there in the South. The onX Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a gobbling turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the onX Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. onX has a special offer for you. Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onxmaps.com/hunt this spring. Whitetail Institute launched the food plot revolution in 1988 with a concentration on research and real-world testing of forage products specifically for whitetail deer. Whitetail Institute's research and development team of agronomy experts provide effective, personalized service. I've been using Imperial Whitetail Clover for a long time in a food plot back behind my house. In 2007, I killed the biggest buck of my life over an Imperial Whitetail Clover small quarter-acre food plot. Imperial Whitetail Clover is the only clover scientifically developed through years of selective breeding. Clover Extreme genetic stability provides extreme cold tolerance, disease, and drought tolerance. It really does. Clover is coated with Whitetail Institute's Rain Bond, a polymer coating added for enhanced seedling survivability. They have an exclusive offer for Bear Grease listeners, 15% off Imperial Clover when you use the code BEAR at whitetailinstitute.com. That's whitetailinstitute.com and use code BEAR for 15% off.
Hey, you guys are really good turkey hunters. What's the closest y'all have had a gobbler come to you? You know, I told the story here one time about having one right here. You know, I mean, have y'all had them? How close have you had them?
I've had them. I had one Steve kill one morning that close. Remember that when Steve was gobbler right in my
his ear.
Right in my ear.
I couldn't shoot it. I had to let him walk around. He walked up.
There wasn't no way I could get on him. I'm like this. He just come right. He was supposed to come up a leg to him.
He was supposed to come up a leg to me. Andy's sitting up there calling, and there was a blowed down tree. And he walked on the wrong side of that blowed down big old tree. And I had to sit there and watch the turkey out of the left of my eye. He walked right up that tree, right up to Andy, gobbled and blowed his hat off.
I had my face back. It's medium
gobbled right in his face, but he made the mistake. He turned and he come down my side of the tree. And I killed him.
And old Steve killed him.
I have got video, Gary. I've got video of a turkey gobbling when he steps on my boot. I'm laid down flat, got my video camera, and I had already called this turkey up once, and I went around on another mountain, and he called him up again, and he gobbled, and he flicks his on my, he gobbles right, he about from here to Andy's knee.
He ain't lying.
Cauy, I was going to ask, have you seen
the video?
I
He
found
ain't
it the other
lying.
day going through videos, and I said, here, I showed it to him. I'm laid down, and that turkey's wings hit my boot when he walks off, and he walks about from here to Gary's side by side there, and I call him again, and he gobbles off the mountain, and that's another story.
Do y'all know Kendra Marshall? Y'all all know her.
Yeah, oh yeah.
When she was probably about 14. Kevin had to work opening day of youth season, and so I took her. And Steve, I don't remember, you took maybe John Barton, and
Yeah.
there was a whole wad of us out there, you know. Anyway, Kendra never killed a turkey before, and anyway, we got in there, and I mean, we got in on. There was a whole wad of them, and I had a single barrel. I still got a single barrel Ithaca 20 gauge, And I had Kendra sitting right here. And anyway, we got set up, and there was 3 big gobblers. And I called them, and here they come. I mean, they just here they were just coming, and Kendra was, of course, I mean, she was all excited, and I was too. And I'm not kidding you. It was kind of straight off. And when they popped up right there, they went no further than Joe. I mean, they wasn't 10 foot, 10, 12 foot. And I said, shoot it. I said, shoot that dude. Kendra, of course, the shot, she just slick missed it. I mean, she never cut a feather out of it. And they just blew up and went everywhere.
And it's a single shot.
It's a single shot. And anyway, Kendra had the long face, and, I was just sick for her. And I said, let's just cool her jets. So I said, they kind of blowed out in different directions. I said, let's just sit around a while. I said, them dudes liable to start gobbling again. So anyway, to make a long story short, we sat there about 30 minutes, and in a minute, right off down the mountain there, one gobble. And I told Kendra, I said, that's in trouble right there. So we got down there, and I got her dug in there, and I called him, and shoot, man, here he come, just doing his thing. And he come up there, and he got up there about 30 steps, and I mean, she killed him deader than a mackerel down there. That dude went to flopping, and she goes, what do I do now? I said, jump up, go get him, She's down there on top of that old turkey. But anyway, I mean, I've had them close, but that's about as close as, of course. But it was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. One of my other grandsons, Aaron Ferguson, I called his first one up for him. We went out to their place out there, and we had went the morning before we went on Saturday youth hunt, and got after turkey. Had set up a blind. They gobbled, got hens with it, and couldn't do anything with it. So I told him, I said, we'll go back in the morning. I know exactly what he's going to do. So we got out there double early, and Aaron and I went across this little old cut they got out there, and pulled in on this leg, and there's a road up, and then there's a skidder trail that runs down. Well, there's a big old oak tree. I mean, a great old big oak tree. I set him on the one side there where the skidder trail comes down, and I just got on the side of the big oak, and I called. When I called him, he flew off, and he gobbled up in the main road.
Boy, every time he says gobble, I want you to gobble.
and he gobbled up.
He hit it.
So I called him, and he gobbled 2 or 3 times. In a little bit, I told Aaron, I said, now look, I'm going to call them hens up first. They're going to come down that skid trail. And I said, just let them walk by. And I said, when you see that gobbler, I said, he's going to be bad close. He's going to be 10 steps or closer. Well, what I didn't realize when I set Aaron up, there was a little mound of dirt. He was sitting against that oak tree, but there was a little mound of dirt about 3 foot from him that was up. So that turkey, he comes down through there, and he gets, the hens come. There was 4 of them, single file. And I'm watching them. I'm sitting there, and I'm looking. I said, there goes one. He's right behind him. I could see he's fanned out, and he's coming. And that turkey comes right in there, and he gets right there, and I hit that slate call just a little bit, and he's only about 20 yards out there, and he gobbles. Indirectly, he starts turning, and he's coming right to it. And I'm sitting there like Andy is. I'm going, shoot him. Shoot him. Oh, God, shoot him. I closed my eyes. I closed my eyes. He's bad close. He steps up on that dirt mound, and he's about 3 foot from that end of that gun barrel. And he shoots him and blows his head off. Kills him dead as a mackerel right there. I get up, and the turkey don't even flop. I mean, he's dead. And I said, what are you waiting on? He said, Papa, I couldn't see nothing but that fan until he stepped right up on that deal and looked right at me. And he said he almost scared me to death. He almost didn't shoot him because he scared me.
So he was sitting down
he
lower
was sitting
than
down
you,
lower than
he couldn't see.
He couldn't see nothing but the fan. But the turkey stepped up on the dirt mound, and he's like, the gun barrel is right there, and he sticks his head up, and he took his whole head off.
Usually that kind of story doesn't end that way, does it? Usually they miss.
They miss, but he was so close and had that gun barrel. It's the first one he clean shot his head off.
Wow.
Of that turkey.
I thought you were going to say all I could see was his head. Like Andy's story. I didn't shoot because all I could see was his head.
No, but he seen his head. Then their turkey with no head.
Hey, Clay, you remember when you were a kid, right when you first learned how to hunt, you started hunting with some of your buddies pretty close to here, 10 miles or so. And you came in one morning saying that this bird came off the roost, sounded like a helicopter.
Yeah.
Did y'all kill that bird? Do you remember?
No, we never did. No, that was the first time. It was when I first started hunting by myself. And so, when you start hunting by yourself, you start noticing stuff you never noticed before. Because when you're being guided, your mentor is interpreting the world for you, But when you start hunting by yourself, you kind of start noticing stuff. No, we set up way too close. We heard a bird gobbling, set up way too close, and but we're in there way before daylight, and so we were set up good, but we didn't know this gobbler had a bunch of hens with it, and we heard. I wouldn't have known it, but I heard several turkeys fly down. And, maybe it's one of the first times I'd ever been that close and heard turkeys fly down. And so I was like, okay, that's what a turkey sounds like when it flies down. And then the gobbler flew down, and it was like, And I told Dad it sounded like a helicopter landing in the woods out there. Yeah. And the turkey hit the ground and went the other way, and we never even really were in the workings for that turkey. But yeah. So
I had a guy that I used to work with. He come down. I invited him down one time. We were living on north of town at the time, so back in the mid '80s. No, that's not true, because it had been probably 90 or 91, probably. Anyway, he come down from up around Ozark to hunt with me, and spent the night. We got up the next morning, and it was lightning and thundering and trying to rain. Just a bad morning, But we wasn't gonna get a chance to go anymore, so we went out west, pulled the end of the mountain, walked all the way into the low gap in the mountain, and when it got gobbling time, it was kind of foggy. No, there wasn't nothing gobbling, nowhere. So I told Conrad, I said, let's walk out here east, and I said, we'll just kind of sit around a while and see what happens. And anyway, we got out there and we sit down side by side, and I told him, I said, I'm going to call a little bit and see if I can get one to answer. So I called north, nothing. Called again, and about that time, you talking about them flying into you. There was 3 big jakes just lit, just like we're sitting right here. I mean, they just lit all around us right there. I mean, within 5 yards. I mean, just 3 of them walking around clucking, like that. And I was going, Conrad, shoot him, Anyway, to make a long story short, I wound up killing a turkey, instead of him. He wouldn't shoot. He couldn't get on him. So anyway, I'm telling you, he thought I was the greatest guy ever. His little boy would call him off a tree and make him like
that. They don't even have to gobble.
Oh.
Well, guys, we've told some good stories. I appreciate everybody coming. Anybody got any closing thoughts here?
Just one thought from the guy I used to hunt with, Greg Burns. You'll always remember the ones you missed or you didn't kill just as much.
That's exactly right. Probably more.
And that's what he said. He said you'll remember them more than the ones you killed.
I think last podcast, all the talking I done was turkeys we didn't kill.
And that's the truth. You'll remember the ones that you did not get.
I think Greg ran into Ben Rogers Lee.
He did. He told me that story.
And I think Ben told him the story about almost sitting on a rattlesnake that morning.
That's the story, yeah. And over west.
Yeah, west of here. Yeah, pretty good ways.
But yeah.
Keep the wild places wild.
Keep the wild places wild. Corey, are you hunting anywhere other than Arkansas this year?
I don't think we're going anywhere this year.
Pawpaw's not taking you somewhere?
No,
Come on, Pawpaw.
I looked at it. We went to Nebraska 2 years ago, and then we got a plan. We're going to go to Florida, and we're going to try and kind of work on our Grand Slam.
Okay.
Somewhat. That's like me and him's
future
goal.
Years.
Yes, that's me and him's goal is to do that together, and we're going to go to Florida, and I got a place in Mississippi we can hunt, so we're probably going to stop on our way back and hunt in Mississippi.
I took him to Nebraska, and then I went to Arizona. That was I went up and hunted the Indian Nations, a couple of years ago in Arizona. And I tell you what, it was sleeting. That was quite the memory right there. That night we slept in a tent up there, couldn't hardly breathe. The altitude was so dadgum air thin. We had 40-mile-an-hour winds, and it was 32 degrees, in that tent, flaps flapping. But we heard 18 different gobblers.
Wow.
And the guys he killed one, and I killed one about 9 o'clock. So
killed them quick, huh?
Killed them quick. And, we come back to camp. We had to drive like 3 miles. We could see Colorado from where we were up on top of that mountain and to get phone service. And we come back, and it was about 1 o'clock, and it was supposed to be even worse. And we're sitting there, and I told him, I said, we were going to take a nap, and just rest. And I said, John, is there any reason we're not leaving here? We're going to get up in the morning, and it's going to be 30 degrees, 28 degrees, and wind blowing. And he said, you're right. We packed up and went to Gallup, New Mexico. We got out of there.
Oh, hey, we got to end with a poacher story, Joe. Did you ever catch any turkey poachers? And now that wasn't your general job. that wasn't your full
with
time.
the game and fish. I've got a couple of real good ones. It's just now I can talk about those. This is a long time ago. This would have been
This is what we needed. This is the kind of energy we needed.
Okay.
A good poaching story.
This is the late 90s, I would say, probably about 1998. We were in the county north of us,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time I was working with the Forest Service LEO, and he's since retired from there, and we got an information of a bait site. So me and my partner, we'd found this bait site, so we knew where it was at. We had real good information. But the problem is you had to walk a pretty good ways into it. And so we've made plans. We knew this guy wasn't coming in there really any time early. So the day that we decided we were going to go in there and catch this guy, it was season at this time. So we rode in there. I rode with the Forest Service LEO in the undercover vehicle. We get 2 miles from it. The vehicle breaks down. I'm thinking,
Your government vehicle.
it breaks down. I'm thinking, great. So here we go. He's coming in there, so I'm walking. So I take out walking, and I get probably within, I don't know, quarter to a half a mile, and I could hear a vehicle coming. So at this time, I take off running, and and I've got my shotgun.
Now, where are you running?
I'm running down a road
towards it.
Yeah, I'm running towards this vehicle because I knew.
Is it not coming your way?
It was, but there was still enough distance that I knew he was coming. We knew which way he come from.
Yeah,
and he was coming into that bait site. So I'm taking off running, and he beats me to it. So I just back off a little bit, and I
beat you to the bait site.
Yes, he beat me to it. Got his truck parked, and gets off down into his bait site. And I just pulled back a little bit, and I thought, I'm gonna give him time to get in there and get good and set up. So probably, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, I hear the freaking gun go off. I hear a shotgun go off. So here I take off in there running to him. And whenever he sees me like, I can't believe this. The turkey's sitting there flopping. His gun's leaned up against a tree. And he looks around and he just takes off running. And I mean, he just left all of it. And he just took off running. And I'm
caught him red-handed.
Red-handed. And the
that
turkey
probably doesn't happen very often.
Oh, no, and the
does
turkey's sitting out there flopping, corn everywhere, feathers flying everywhere. Here's his gun leaned up against the tree, and he's gone. You couldn't have caught him if you'd have wanted to. And this is my, maybe.
But I mean, his truck's here. You got this guy.
It gets good.
Yeah.
We're not done yet. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I'm going to holler at him. So I knew who it was. I said, well, that's fine. We know who you are. I've got your gun and your truck.
You say this?
Oh, yeah.
You yell this?
Yeah, because I know he's not out there. Maybe 150 yards, but you couldn't caught him. I've went 2 miles and then ran into that. I'm out of air by then. So
yeah.
So I've got his gun and I've got the turkey. We come out of the woods to the truck, and by this time the wrecker comes and picks our truck up. And I holler at him on the radio. So I said, well, come on down here. I said, drop our truck there and load his up. So we loaded his truck up on the wrecker and hauled it to town. And I had the shotgun, the turkey, and then we impounded his truck. So we get up to the jail. And
so you just leave him in the woods.
Oh, yeah. You know, I didn't know where he's
at. He's in shape. He can run.
Yeah,
yeah, I guess.
And I can think of another story up there where you love to turkey hunt. A guy hit the woods and caught him the next day, but that's a different story. And so, and we knew he was going to come up there, and we figured he's going to report his truck stolen. You know, that's the big thing. When people flee, well, you know, someone stole my truck.
Do you put a warrant out for their arrest if they flee?
No, not at that time. You know, we knew who his family was. We knew.
Yeah,
we knew all about it.
Did you have to take any pictures or anything?
Oh yeah.
So like when you had the turkey, had the gun.
Oh yeah, we had all
documented everything.
And he came up there to the jail. You know, we figured he was going to report his truck stolen. And I said, "Why'd you run from me?" I wasn't going to give him any other questions.
So he just walked in.
Yeah, because we knew he
turned himself in.
Well, yeah, because he's wanting his stuff back. He wants his gun and he wants his truck. And
his
the first question, and his turkey, which he didn't get that. And so my first question was, you know, not anything else, but why did you run from me? And then he said, I don't know. You didn't come up with some excuse. So then I knew he had him, you know, because he didn't deny it then. So he was caught then.
Yeah.
So later we went through court and, you know, he was found guilty. And I think he actually pled the case is what, you know, that's
and what would have happened to that guy? Do you remember?
That guy at that time, you know, he would lose his, I don't remember, you know, exactly what that was.
My mule.
There you go. I don't really remember what the case, you know, adjudicated as.
Yeah.
But, you know, now he would probably, I don't know what baiting turkeys is now as far as, you know, the violation on that as far as points. But, you know, I don't know what tier it is or even, and it got to where I didn't work a lot of game and fish stuff. We worked more. My latter years, you know, just in the last year, we worked more recreation. You know, I seen the transition from a lot of different stuff to worked heavy narcotics and right into here, you know, you work more side-by-sides, recreation, which
recreational violation stuff.
You know, lots of alcohol, but, you know, I seen the transition from where you was fighting a lot of narcotics to where a lot of it's legal now. You've seen a complete shift. But there's tons of stories. You know, if you ever want to do a story, because I can talk about a lot of them now. You know, I can't. And before
you want tell us the story about you were saying you had one that you came to mind that somewhere close.
Which as far as
you just when you were talking, you looked at Andy and said, "Hey, I remember a story somewhere over by you."
I know one that you might not remember. It was out west of town. I'd went out there scouting turkeys and heard 12 or 15 turkeys like 3 or 4 days before season. And I went out there 2 mornings in a row listening. And Joe came in there the one morning when I was there, and he said, "Hey, Steve, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm going to be in here in the morning, opening day." I said, "There's turkeys in here." And he said, "No, don't come in here in the morning."
I do remember that one.
Yeah. He said, "That guy's baiting them." And I said, "Oh, really? You got to be kidding me. There's turkeys everywhere." He said, "That's why they're goblins."
No wonder.
He said, "Don't come in here in the morning." He said, "Wait 10 days and then come back." And so I said, "Okay." And he caught that guy.
We got some information on that one. I was with the Forest Service then, and a couple of people called me and said they found that bait. So me and another game and fish officer, we went in there and we found it. And we came in there the next day. And kind of like you said, we got in there really, really early. And you know which one we're talking about on this. And we looked this thing over and we thought, you know, he's got to come up from this way. And so we just get set up there. And sure enough, you know, turkeys go to gobbling. And what happens? He comes in the opposite way. And I heard something and turned around and looked at him, and he's looking right at me. You know, and I knew who it was at that time. You know, and I'm sitting there with a rifle.
He probably thinks you're a turkey hunter.
He thought we were a turkey hunter, you know, and I'm sitting there with a rifle. You know, and once I, you know, announce who we are and everything, he's like, "Well, you know, I don't know what we, you know, I don't know nothing." You know, that basically he doesn't know nothing. And then I get consent to search his pouch. You know, it seems like, no, it's his backpack. "Oh, I don't know nothing." And he gives me consent to search it, and I pull out the top of a corn sack. And then it goes downhill from there. So,
Did he admit to it?
Yes. And then we asked where he was staying. So we end up going on the west side over there, talking to his father. And about that time when we pulled up to camp, his father pulls up on a side by side. Well, it was an ATV at the time, and a turkey on the back. It was just, and I'm sure they'll hear this. It was just a hunch. And we said, we know you're baiting the turkeys, and you're just going to have to take us to where you killed that one. He just ducks his head, and he says, okay. And he took us right to where he was baiting it, where he killed it. And that's another story. We called the record. We impounded both of those side by sides and everything. And they were ATVs, but it was just a hunch because we knew it. He had been baiting turkeys, so we knew that one had to be killed over.
And you just came in and just said, "I knew you did it. Take me to it."
Yep.
That's like a good parenting trick. When you have a hunch, your kid did something, you just hit them hard, and they confess.
That's that sixth sense. That sixth sense. Especially in law enforcement.
Yeah, you cut them open and see corn in their belly. It might be a hint. Hey, let me ask you this, Joe. Years and years ago, a friend of mine and I were hunting west of town here in a pretty popular area. A lot of roads go back in there. And we found a site. I don't remember us calling the game warden because it's probably old, but feathers everywhere. I mean, it looked like 100 turkeys had been processed in there. Maybe 50. But, it just had,
It was like at the back of a camp or something. I think I remember that story.
You remember me coming home?
I think it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was like a cul-de-sac where there had been a camp.
Well, I don't know about that. This was off in the woods.
Okay.
Now, we might have come to a cul-de-sac, but y'all know where I'm probably talking about. There's a big chicken farm there, and you go over a hill, and there's just pig trails everywhere. Oh, yeah. And back in there, not very far from the main road, one of those main roads.
And it just looked like a bunch of turkeys had been killed.
Pretty substantial guy was with me, and he's a pretty good turkey hunter, and he couldn't figure it out. It just looked like, at least 25, 30 turkeys been butchered there, maybe 100. It was just crazy. So I don't know why we didn't call. He might have called the game warden. I can't remember, but anyway. Have you ever seen a site like that? Where
Not that much. I interviewed a turkey poacher one time, and we knew he was a very early turkey hunter. And he said his favorite time to go, he'd get his wife to drop him off. He wouldn't leave the house till 10 o'clock in the morning. He said, if I can kill one, if I hear it, I'll kill it. If I can get a turkey to gobble, go ahead. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And he said, I'll kill it. And that's how he done it. He hunted in the middle of the day, because
I wished I'd have known that years ago. I would never have gotten up at
if you get
You
one
had
gobble at
Juju
10
drop
o'clock,
you
you
off?
got a pretty good chance of killing it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And no
You
one's
bet.
out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
You
that
got
was
extra hands.
that was a great ending to our podcast. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate everybody being here.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
Outdoor adventure won't wait for engine problems. Things like hard starts, rough performance, and lost fuel economy are often caused by fuel gum and varnish buildup. Seafoam can help your engine run better and last longer. Simply pour a can in your gas tank. Hunters and anglers rely on Seafoam to keep their engines running the way it should the entire season. Pick up a can of Seafoam today at your local auto parts store or visit seafoamworks.com to learn more.